following is a production of 4 Star Sports Media.
Are you hungry? It's time to sit down and get full of sports on the Sports Buffet presented by 4 Star Sports Media with your host, Wes Pruitt.
What's going on, everybody? Wes Pruitt, 4 Star Sports Media. I apologize you couldn't hear me a minute ago. Got that taken care of. Hope everyone is doing well. I appreciate everybody watching and listening. Burning question of the day is this: does it impress people to win media days? Does it mean anything? Sam Pittman would say yesterday he wasn't worried about winning media days. So, poll question number 1, over/under wins for Memphis football this year. 8 wins. Over or under? Head over to the 4 Star Sports social medias. These questions will be posted as soon as this show gets over about 9:30. Poll question number 2, John. You ready?
Go ahead.
Oh, is that same number of wins for Memphis and Alabama? Okay, it is. It's 8. Over/under wins for Alabama as well. So, John, welcome to the show, man. How's everything going on your end?
TGIF is 15 degree cooler than Wednesday as we speak.
Yeah, it is. It's seasonably cooler. They said on the news here last night that it felt like football season, and I was like, well, which part? Because the beginning is hotter than fish grease, and the end is really cold. So, really no telling there. But we're going to go and get to the main course, man. So, John, we're going to start. We got a brand new show coming out on Sunday called Over Under. It's a real simple concept. You either say over or under. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that, folks. What do you think, man? Over or under? Over. Under. Okay, that's it. That's all you got to do for the game. That's it.
Even
Yeah, there's
right down the
exactly. There's
middle.
not even an even. There's not even a push. It's either over or
Yeah.
under. So we're gonna do some rapid fire over under college football questions. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
John didn't even know this
With the-
was coming. All right.
Without oh
Total
crap.
wins. Total wins 7 for Auburn. What you think?
How about you? How about you go first?
Oh, okay. By the way, if anybody watching and listening, if you want to chime in with your answers over or under, feel free to on Auburn football 7 wins. Oh, I think Auburn wins 6, which gets them to a bowl, right? And then here's number 7 sitting here. I don't know. It's going to be really close, man. I want to say under only because I think they're going to win 6 games this year. But then there's part of me that's like, it's Hugh Freeze, DJ Durkin's there at defensive coordinator. You know, I mean, he's got talented players there. Year 2, you know, he's had a whole year to get everything going. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, you know, he could win 8. But I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under, and we're going to go with 6 wins for Auburn in 2024. What about you?
Man, this God, like you said, 7 games is possible, but they'll have to surprise a game or two maybe down the road where, like, for example, the game against Oklahoma at home, with it being a possible early kickoff, that game could go either way because the game's at Jordan Hare. I won't say under as of right now without even looking at their schedule more in depth. But yeah, 6 wins is a possibility for Hugh Freeze, and then Auburn fans are going to be calling for his head again, saying, "Okay, you might be fired."
Those people have extreme expectations on the hill, on the plains in Auburn, I should say, not on the hill. That's up here in Fayetteville. All right, total wins. Mississippi State with 5 in Jeff Lebby's first season. Go ahead, John.
God, I hate you right now because Wednesday we did this a little bit. And you're actually reading my mind right now regarding a lot of these without even looking at their schedule. Like, fans, we don't even have this planned out in advance. I'm sorry, we really don't. But you're going with the same exact.
Yeah, I literally
kinda
threw this
that
on
I'm
him.
going.
I literally sat down last night and was like, all right, I'm going to throw some rapid fire questions at him. He doesn't know they're coming. And I literally came up with these 5 teams. There's 5 teams John's going to pick.
Okay.
But there's 5 teams, or we are going to pick, I should say. But 5 teams. So Mississippi State, man, 5 wins for the Bulldogs. Now, I mean, let's just wait. Okay, so Jeff Lebby, year 1, right? Oklahoma has some SEC ties. Worked under Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss before heading over to Oklahoma to work for Brent Venables. Now SEC Oklahoma for Brent Venables. Obviously, we know the offense is going to be exciting, right? We've seen what Jeff Lebby's offense can do. We've seen how it's very similar to a Josh Heupel style, where it's like NASCAR. The question is, what type of players does he have in there? Because you're coming out of a Zach Arnett system that is not the go system. Go ahead, John.
Okay, I'm going to cheat for a second. Look at their schedule. Surely they can beat Eastern Kentucky. Arizona game's going to be tough because it's a night game in Phoenix, Arizona. And you never know how hot it's going to be.
Especially
Surely
early
you
in
can
the year.
beat Toledo. Yeah. Surely you can beat Toledo in Sartville. The game against Florida is 11 a.m. in Sartville. That's really a trap game for Florida too, by the way, speaking of Billy Napier and still. But that game could go either way, but won't give a State the dub on that one. So that's, what is that, 3 wins right now? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 wins.
But
right
it's
there. So I
yeah,
mean,
you got UMass on the schedule. You win that one. That's 4. You know what? I'll go
and
over
then it's
and give them
SEC
6
play.
wins.
Okay.
I'll give them 6.
Yeah, and
you know what? I'll give them 6. Yeah.
And see, you're right there in the same ballpark that I was, because in my head I'm going through the non-con going, okay, they should win maximum for sure 3 of their 4. The fourth one really with Arizona is a eh. And then you to your point, you open up with Florida, 11 a.m. Mississippi State. Those folks down in Starkville get it going early. We talked about it last time on the Tigers Den and how fun that environment can be down there when that
Which I disagree with your list, by the way.
rocking. Oh, that's fine. But that's fine. But when you look at Mississippi State, you're exactly where I am. In my head, I'm thinking 5. But then I look at their schedule and I'm like, they could they sneak up on Arkansas? Could they sneak up on a Kentucky? Could they later in the season when they're getting their things going, could they sneak up on an Ole Miss to end the season and maybe mess up the Rebels' chance at a college football playoff? I mean, I think when you look at this team, all those questions obviously are going to be answered throughout the season. But when you look at this team, I mean, they're kind of one of those intriguing teams of the SEC. But we'll get to the SEC here in just a minute. All right, John, up next. You ready?
Okay, another key game for State also, real quick. You know, they don't get Kentucky on the schedule this year, but Bob Stoops always seems to choke against State in that game. But they got a bye week right before Missouri, and that game is in Starkville for the Missouri-Mississippi State game. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we have seen stranger things happen in Starkville in November.
Oh, 100%. 100%. All right, man. Up next, let's take a trip up to Nashville and go look at the Clark Lee-led Vanderbilt Commodores. I've got 3 wins down only because I don't feel like Vanderbilt has won more than 3 games since James Franklin left. Could I be wrong on that? Possibly. I don't feel like I am. I don't feel like they've gotten 4 since then. Man, this team, if I'm a college football 25, college football or 24, whatever the year is on the video game, this is one of my first rebuilds. I go and I'm taking Vanderbilt and I'm rebuilding them in the SEC, and you got to go to Atlanta and play. Hell, go win a national championship with Vanderbilt on a video game. But John, I mean, I'm going to say, I might even say under on this, to be honest with you. Now, okay, hold on. Let me just back up real quick. Okay. So Clark Lee, we know he's a defensive guy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last year he worked with the offense, and you saw the offense play better, but you saw defense take some major steps back. Well, now, and I learned this through a show on Vanderbilt football, through spring football that I watched. He's now working with the defense. He's now allowing Jerry Kill, former, where was he at? He was out in the
Minnesota.
West. Yeah, that's it, Minnesota. But what did he coach for? Like one of the New Mexico teams or something too? But Jerry Kill is on staff. He's an offensive analyst. Plus his offensive coordinator, his name slips my mind, but offensive coordinator is a former head coach as well. So he's putting guys in place that have been there, that understand how to run the entire operation, but then they're able to hone in on just their individual respective units. Vanderbilt, 3, John, 4? What do you got?
Right now, by top of my head, 4. Maybe they're lucky. Surely they can beat Alcorn State. The Virginia Tech game, yeah, it's early in the season, the first game of the season, but it's at 11 a.m. Vanderbilt might start off a little bit hot because, you know, it's an early kickoff and whatnot. But Georgia State toss up because the game is in Atlanta. You really never know because Georgia State's been a little bit of a disappointment. It's like Vandy has over the last couple of years. At Missouri, and then your bye week. You know what? Right now, I'm going to go right at 4. Maybe they'll surprise somebody in the SEC, but you got to beat the Alcorn States, the Georgia States, the Ball State, and then maybe surprise somebody in the SEC. Hey, they could maybe beat South Carolina maybe at home, but you never really know because the game's in Nashville, and Vanderbilt has got half of their stadium renovating. But yeah, I'm going to go over at 4 as of right now, just as a surprise, something different.
All right, man. Up next, let's go
Woo.
with Florida Atlantic with 7 on the season. 7 wins for Tom Herman and the Florida Atlantic Owls. Obviously, man, we've been talking about it throughout the offseason. We're going to talk about it a little bit more today as well. When we get into the AAC. But when you look at this Tom Herman-led football team, they're a team that you can't sleep on. They're a team that you've got to pay attention to in the Atlantic. In the American. And in Florida Atlantic, we've seen what Lane Kiffin did there. We've seen you can win there. Can Tom Herman get it turned around in 2024, John?
For real, you're reading my mind right now, for real. No jokes at all. Because you're going to preview the AAC today. I was going to ask you basically what 2 coaches in the AAC has something to prove. And this guy, Florida Atlantic University, Tom Herman.
We'll get there. Let us get there.
Tom Herman was my exact person that could win a 7-game schedule this year.
Yeah.
Because, I just thought, even, because I hate to say this, but it's even right now. They can beat an Army at home because the game's at home. They can beat a UConn at home. They can beat a Wagner at home. All their tough games are at home. And that's where the Owls can surprise some people.
100%. 100%. Man, I think Florida Atlantic could very well win 8 games this year. I really don't see them winning 6. I'm going to go over on this. I think they win more than 7. I just think they're a team to watch. Could I be wrong? Dude, they could go 1-11, and I could be completely wrong. But I feel like they're going to play well this year. All right, man, last one for the over-under college football style, and we're going total wins on the season. We're going Tulane with 8 wins. And that's not -8, by the way. That is 8 wins for Tulane. John Summerall in year 1, taking over for Willie Fritz, who departed for Houston. Such an odd move. But, we know the talent is there. Now, of course, you lose Michael Pratt if you're the Tulane Green Wave. You lose Michael Pratt. You got to figure out how you can find a quarterback that can lead you in such ways as Pratt did. I mean, when you look at Michael Pratt, and I said it right before the NFL draft, there's not too many quarterbacks in college football last season and really the last 2 or 3 seasons that you could say, hey, give me the ball, let me run with it, let's see what we can do. Can you win a football game? I mean, John, you look back to the Willie Fritz era at Tulane, and how many times, by the way, you're on mute here, but how many times did we see him put the ball in Pratt's hands and say, go get it? Now, obviously, he had some talented running backs and things like that, but Pratt, I feel like, has that ice water in his veins style, and that's a big hole to fill if you're Tulane.
Yeah, 1,245%. Michael Pratt did everything for that offense, and to be honest with you, I won't say over. I'll give them 9 wins on the schedule because got a great hiring Coach Summerall that came from Troy, and his offense is no joke. Defense might be a little bit of question marks because, this ain't the same defense like it used to be, for one thing. They did lose a few players in the portal. 9 wins is a possibility for Tulane, but it is going to be tough to get that 9 wins. But heck, a lot of people do have a lot more knowledge than we do because they do have them playing Memphis in the AAC championship with 10 wins going into that final game on the regular season for both squads. So I'm going to say 9, barely. Can I do 8.5? No, kid. But yeah, let's do over at 9.
Okay. All right, going to go over. Man, this is going to I feel like that Tulane-Memphis game on Thanksgiving, primetime spot, by the way, has the potential to play out to be an incredible football game, possibly even a college game day style game if both teams play to their potential. But John, you just brought up a great point with Tulane. When you look at them the last 3 or 4 seasons on the front wise, defensive front and offensive line front, they've been just as big as any SEC football team in the nation.
Oh, yeah.
They've been just as strong as any football team in the nation, and they've had one of the top for offensive defensive lines in the country. I don't think they have that this year on the defensive front. I just don't see it. Once again, could I be wrong? Yeah, I could. I think Tulane wins 7 games this year. Because of the defense. I think the defense takes a step back. We talked about the quarterback. That's not going to be the same. But then you lose running back. I mean, you lose pieces on that team. I'm going to go under. All right, John.
A key game on Tulane's schedule, though, could be an interesting game. Another early kickoff early in the season with Kansas State. And those students are going to be fired up down in the Big Easy. Do not be surprised if Tulane wins
All
that
right,
one.
let's get into it, man. It could very well happen. All right, let's get into it, man. Let's talk a little bit of SEC Media Days. Or, the burning question is, does it really matter if you, quote unquote, win Media Days, right? We see Sam Pittman yesterday, who was very confident. I thought Pittman was very confident yesterday at the podium. He made numerous comments about his team. He accepted the fact that he understands his seat's hot. But you know what he said, John? He said, I don't care about my job. I care about my team. That spoke to me, man. The whole embrace the hog. Of course, people take 3 words out of a 20-word sentence, and that's what everybody sees. When you get that full context of that comment, it's better than just embrace the hog. It's so much better. But John, let me ask you this, man. When you look at the SEC Media Days, what is something that you enjoy about Media Days? And then who is someone that you thought impressed this week?
We had a lot more fired shots at Paul Feinbaum the last couple of days. That was kind of cool. I don't know if it was just an act or maybe something being serious at times too. It's hard to tell because, Lane Kiffin, one, is a joker. So, but again, I can't pass nothing past Lane Kiffin because he's Lane Kiffin. Calling Paul Feinbaum, just calling him out completely and saying, well, you've been calling for my job ever since the Southern Cal days, and that type of stuff, and you said, ask me, what kind of coach impressed me, right, during the last couple of days, right?
Yeah, when you look at, of course, it wrapped up yesterday. When you look at the SEC Media Days from the week, Monday through Thursday, which coach stood out to you?
There's quite a few of them, to be honest with you. I used to be, first of all, credit all the coaches that gave Nick Saban some love as well. I loved hearing that point of view. On the start, Jeff Lebby did a little bit, talking about his background just a little bit more in depth. Josh Heupel definitely seemed to impress me about a year just because, we've known him from the UCF days, but he continues to impress me year in, year out, just the way that he's been recruiting and just done well, and whatnot. Let's go with Sarkisian from Texas, maybe impressed me just a little bit, just because he was talking about more about the Texas teams last couple of years. Can I say a coach that really did not impress me at all in his press conference? That is Mark Stoops in Kentucky. I was kind of surprised the way. He started off right off the bat with an offensive coordinator, part. I was kind of surprised by that. I thought a media person would have had, so you had to ask him, that question rather than him bringing it up first, I guess. But it sounded like to me, you know how it is in Lexington. He was rumored to go to what job was it? A&M, remember?
Oh hell, he wasn't rumored, man. From everything I've
I
been
know.
told, that job he had taken that job and decided, no, just kidding, I don't want to do it.
But that's one reason I think he was just a lot more nervous this year in his press conferences because he didn't know what to say at the right time. Maybe that's why he disappointed me because, like I said, he brought up the offense coordinator thing right off the bat without even being asked it.
Yeah.
So that's maybe why I'm a little bit disappointed. But who's your favorites, going in that conference?
I mean, man, I talked about Pitt. I mean, I really, and there's no bias there. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, he's just saying that. No, he really impressed me yesterday. He, from the moment he stepped to the podium, and he started the day, but from the moment he stepped to the podium, he had confidence about it. He was confident. He was confident in his team. He was confident in the corrections that had been made, or as he said, the things that had been, quote, addressed. To your point, Josh Heupel really impresses me. I just, he is getting that Tennessee program built, and he's doing it in the right way. You mentioned Mark Stoops. Mark Stoops is now the longest tenured coach, going into his 12th season now at Kentucky in the SEC. That's very wild to me, is that you can have a conference, and until Nick Saban left, there was only two guys at the top that hadn't gone anywhere. And now that Saban's gone, it's just Stoops, just kind of hanging out. What I will say impressed me about the entire week is this. Just about every single coach, I believe every coach, had something to say about Monty Kiffin, how he improved them as a coach, how he improved that person as a player. Pittman talked about yesterday how he completely changed his philosophy on coaching. And I mean, you look at the way, just the outpour of love for him, for Lane Kiffin. I thought Kiffin, who obviously tomorrow is Monty's, they're laying him to rest tomorrow. But I thought Kiffin handled everything really, really well. Come on, man. That's got to be hard. But when he said he's not just my hero, he's a superhero, that got you, man. You know what I mean? Like that kind of pulled at the heartstrings a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I loved how, and to your point, talking about Saban too, a lot of coaches made comments about Saban and talked about how he had, impacted them. And I mean, Pittman said it yesterday, our league is never going to be the same without him. A lot of things impressed me. Players impressed me. I'm really excited about the addition of Texas and Oklahoma. When you look at those two teams in this conference, we talked about it earlier in the week. It makes this conference even better than it already was. But it adds, what I'm excited about is it adds rivalries back that we've been missing and we shouldn't have. Why have we not had Texas A&M, Texas? Why? That's dumb. Why are we getting rid of Bedlam? Who gives a crap if Oklahoma is in the SEC and Oklahoma State's in the Big 12? Who cares? It's a classic football game. Get it on TV, get it on the schedules. Brent Venables, I'm talking to you. Not that you're ever going to listen to this show, but I'm talking to you, Brent Venables. Get it on the schedule. Mullet Man wants it. He's a man. He's 40. He wants it. Put it on the schedule. Texas A&M, Texas is back. I'm so excited about that series to be back. So excited, man. That is real hatred. Those two teams freaking hate each other. Like, it's Oklahoma, Texas, but I think it may be a little bit more. Maybe more. But John, let me mention this because Emmanuel Acho, whatever his name is, was on there yesterday. Cole Kubelek, former guest, twice, two-time guest, was on, and they were talking about big rivalries in college football. Of course, Cole brought up Iron Bowl, which is one of the best rivalries in all of college football. Emmanuel Emmanuel, however you put his name. I can't remember how it goes. Trash me if you want. I don't care. He said he had no desire to go to the Iron Bowl game. No desire. But that he would go to the Red River Robbery because that was the greatest, in his mind, the greatest game in the nation, the greatest rivalry of all. Cole Kubelek would follow that up by looking at him and saying, I'm a connoisseur of college football. I love college football and I watch all. John, what's your thoughts on Cole and really standing up for the sport of college football? But more than that, he stood up for his people at Auburn and, crazily enough, the people at Alabama. I mean, he brought the whole state together with one comment saying he didn't want to go to the Iron Bowl.
I have not seen the full actually interview yet for that. First of all, I'm so anxious to see it. I wish we could play it here, for example, but for just thinking about Cole's social media and in person regarding interviews for TV shows, we're just talking about his passion for the love of the game. I kind of agree with Cole on this, to be honest with you. Because, I just think Cole doesn't show no. I mean, he shows everybody love. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just surprised. Really, I'm not surprised by Cole's statements, but that's how Cole just doesn't back down at all. Basically, on his regarding certain stuff. And I also think, who doesn't love the Auburn-Alabama rivalry? And I really do think him talking about the Red River Shootout, I was just kind of surprised by it because that game is still being played in Dallas, for crying out loud. At the Cotton Bowl. And, it was an interesting day, at SEC Media Days for a lot of people in general. Like Wes they brought up Monte Kiffin, and last couple of days regarding how Lane Kiffin's been handling a lot of stuff. And I just also think it's going to be interesting down the road. Hey, Coach Wood, can you hear me?
No doubt, no doubt. We got Coach Wood joining now, John. Let's get Coach on here to talk a little bit of football, if we can.
Hang on, I can't hear him.
Coach, I having a little trouble hearing you. I apologize about that. But Keith Wood joins us to talk baseball. All right, he's gonna talk a little bit about some books here in a little bit. But we're also going to talk a little bit of college football. We lost John. I don't know where John went. John just went off air. So I apologize for that. But Coach Keith Wood, we appreciate you joining us today. We're talking SEC football right now. We're getting ready to jump over to the American Athletic Conference and talk AAC as they begin their media football days on Monday. When you look at the American Conference, it's loaded with great coaches. John and I talked about earlier. You bring in John Summerall. You've got Ryan Silverfield there at Memphis. You've got Tom Herman. I mean, not Tom. Yeah, you got Tom Herman at Florida Atlantic. You've got numerous really good football coaches, really good teams, as well as you add in Army to the conference in football, which I think adds a lot. If you look back to the CUSA days, Army was in CUSA with Memphis as well. And the way Army competes, I just that's a fun place to be. It's a fun place to just go and watch and go and have fun. Hold on, let me get Jason Patterson on here real quick.
Man, I'm going to tell you
Jason, what's
what.
going on, man?
Technology's been kicking my ass today, but we're good now. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
I feel you, man. I feel you. We're talking AAC. We got Keith Wood on for. I can't hear Keith Wood, and I'm not sure why. Keith, I'm gonna put you in the background, and then we'll get that worked on as we're going here. Jason, we lost John. I don't know where John went, but Jason, we're talking a little bit about the SEC media days before we jump over and get into the AAC media days. I made the statement yesterday, or made the statement that I really felt like Sam Pittman impressed me, or Sam Pittman did impress me. There's a website. Head over to our website, 4star.live. Got an article out now talking about how Sam Pittman impressed me. He acknowledged his errors. He turned around and said, "Hey, these things have been." He used the term, corrected.
So,
but the way he had confidence about his football team yesterday was really impressive.
All right. Well, so first off, there's been I wouldn't say a cleansing, but I would say more of a revitalization of the locker room, where there's more togetherness, there's more competition that's healthy amongst both the players. I mean, Andrew Armstrong was pretty much the quintessential, I'm going to challenge you, and I am going to make you better. Landon Jackson talked about the same thing, going up against guys last year that he didn't give a flying flip about. It was more about your room and not your side of the ball or the team. Now it is about the team. They're conversing between each other to make each other better, which that shows you the divisiveness from the top down, from the OC. Not I wouldn't say more or less the head coach, but the OC down. And I think that's why you did see Danny Enos take a hike 8 games in. Sam honestly did not have a lot to lose yesterday, because he understands what's on the line. He understands that you're replacing your starting running back, quarterback. You get your starting tight end back, and your offensive coordinator, your offensive line are all new. So whenever you have so many new pieces and essentially you have 1 year to do it, there's not a lot of stress. There's not a lot of pressure. He understands that there's heat. He understands why he's in the position that he's in right now. But you have to give him a little bit of leash on the fact of what he did with the defense 2 years ago and how they performed last year and how they excelled. I think that defensive backs are going to be a deep position for the defense this year. I think interior line is going to be a little bit weak. Or should not I say weak, but deep. But Sam, he made light of it. He understood that he has all the world, all the weight of the world on his shoulders right now in this state because of the things that he has done here in the past. And you see what he's did with the defense 2 years ago, like I just said, but I think he's done that now with the offense. Only problem is with the defense, he had another year to possibly keep turning that around. He's got 1 year for the offense. That's it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. All right, let's try to get Keith Wood back in here again. Let's see if we can get him in here. All right, let's see if we can get all 4 people in here. Hold on. Let's see. There it is. I got 4 people now, right. Finally. Keith, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sure can. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good.
Okay. Yes, sir. We got you now. Sports Buffet right here on the 4-Star Sports Media Network. Man, got a jam-packed house. I hadn't had 4 people on the screen in 2 years. Got Jason Patterson, John Sturdivant, and Dr. Keith Wood. Keith, we're talking a little bit about the American Athletic Conference Media Days, which get started on Monday. Got a new commissioner in there. We saw Mike Oresco leave. We've got some new coaches coming in. We got John Summerall coming in and others. This American Athletic Conference is one that has a lot of eyes on it, with Memphis being the top group of 5 program, according to a lot of our guys, talking heads. Where do you see this American Athletic Conference? And Keith, I'm going to start with you, and then I'll go around the room.
No, we're fine.
But I'll tell you, okay, John, I'll start with you. What about this American Athletic Conference media days has you excited?
Well, we brought this up a few minutes ago. You talked about coaching. Coaches from top to bottom are seeming to get better in this conference on a daily basis. I just think in the long haul, like we talked about with Florida Atlantic, how could Tom Herman improve his football team? And I think Tom Herman is going to be one of the 2 coaches that a lot of people will be talking about as an improvement in the AAC this year regarding win totals. You had on your rapid fire, you had Florida Atlantic winning 7 games. I can see Florida Atlantic winning 7 games. The team that I'm kind of interested on is UTSA, Texas San Antonio. They lose their quarterback, and a few more others in the transfer portal that made a big impact on their football team. But yeah, overall, I think it's going to be top to bottom. I think it's going to be an interesting conference this year regarding some certain teams in that league. How about you, Jason?
First off, I'm curious to see. Hold on, Charlotte's. I love Charlotte's coach, by the way. That guy is undefeated with the
Yes.
guns out, suns out all time of the day. I love that guy to death. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, Wes, we had a little bit of beef with South Florida. Those guys got a little salty on us during AAC.
Oh, we did. We pissed them off.
That was fun. I think there was a few folks from South Florida that got a little perturbed at us and how we were kind of approaching things. But the conference as a whole has a really big opportunity coming up in week 3 when UAB takes on Arkansas. Now, Arkansas is still trying to find their footing. They've got some things that they're still trying to figure out. They have a huge game against Oklahoma State in week 2, and UAB might be one of those trap games where you find Arkansas having a really tough road game coming back home, and then UAB might be able to possibly jump up and catch the Hogs off guard a little bit. If that happens, that's a huge win for UAB and for the conference.
Not happening.
100%. And then I think that same week, I don't know. I mean, you never know, honestly, with that UAB team. But another big game, marquee game, is going to be in week 2 when Memphis takes a trip down to Tallahassee to take on Florida State in a massive matchup that's going to be one that I know Memphis fans will be watching for sure. John, we got Keith Wood in the room, man. So let's talk to Keith about what he does. I see. Is that a Memphis? What is that? A Memphis Red Sox shirt? What is that?
Yeah, Memphis Red Sox. So
is it a Chick's shirt? Is that what that is?
No. So you got to go back a little farther, West. I'm gonna take you old school right here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let's go old school, right? So in 1922, R.S. Lewis of the Lewis Funeral Home family started the Memphis Red Sox in the Negro Leagues. And so guys, you know where BTW High School is? It's on the other side of the tracks. Now you got to get over into South Memphis a little bit. But that's where the city of Memphis had its own Major League Baseball team from 1922 to 1959. So John, my good buddy from our days when I was coaching in Millington, he was over at Bartlett, right? Called me and said, let's talk a little bit about Memphis Red Sox baseball. Now, most of you guys probably know Jaron Duran just hit a 2-run bomb, gave the American League the victory in the All-Star game, right? But do you know who Neil Shadow Robinson is? Neil Shadow Robinson roamed the outfield at Martin Stadium for the Red Sox and actually outslugged Josh Gibson twice in the 1940s for the Negro American League home run title, right? So, like, these are guys that no one knows about, right? And so John asked me to come on. I got my new book, The Memphis Red Sox, The Negro League History, just came out in June. So More than happy to talk college football with you because I love the West Point and the American coming in. Good. One of my former students, Jackson Hammonds, the Speed Demon, turned down Mississippi State to go to the Point and play for Army, is up there. So I think you might want to watch West Point. Might be a little sleeper in there. My other thoughts on the AAC, Memphis has to hold serve, right? If everybody considers Memphis one of the top teams in the American, they've just got to hold serve. Silverfield does a great job, but sometimes having coached high school basketball for 17 years, you can't play down to the competition. You got to prove that you're a step above everybody. And for me, that's what Memphis is going to have to do in the American to get the notoriety, to get the national media, to get by the conglomerate that now is Power Five, right? And so the group of five is not getting the same media attention. And so Memphis is going to have to hold serve. But for me, Coach Wood, because I teach at Christian Brothers High School, CBHS alum Jackson Hammond up in West Point, Army's going to be the sleeper in the conference this year.
Love it. I love it, Coach. Coming on with the fire on a Friday.
Oh, man,
I love it.
Look, I'm old school.
So
I'm
speaking
talking. Go ahead, man. What do you got?
So speaking of the Negro League, I know a little bit about one of my favorite country music artists of all time. You already know the name I'm getting ready to say.
I know
Charlie
it.
Pride,
Here it comes. Bring it.
incredible country music artist, but prior to him being a country music absolute star, tell us a little bit about what Charlie did on the baseball field, Keith.
Charlie was a pitcher, right? So Charlie comes in the mid 1950s after Jackie Robinson reintegrates baseball, right? So I'm going to use the term reintegrate because black guys have played Major League Baseball in the 1800s, right? Bud Fowler, we know, is in the Hall of Fame now. There was a guy, Huggins, from Memphis, who played in the International League up in Syracuse, which would be like AAA ball. And so there were African Americans were playing in professional baseball up until the 1890s. You know, Plessy versus Ferguson, Jim Crow becomes more codified, and when Kennesaw Landis becomes a commissioner after the Black Sox scandal in the World Series in the 1920s, right? So then the color line is redrawn, right? But let's push forward now because we're talking about Charlie Pride. Jackie Robinson joins the Dodgers in 47, April of 47, right? So Charlie is a young kid growing up in Mississippi, and like a lot of boys, playing a lot of sandlot ball, playing out on a farm, and he can deal a little bit. Probably a decent 85 to 87 mile an hour fastball, +1 curveball, good enough to break in to the Negro Leagues with the Memphis Red Sox. I think the best story, Wes, if you haven't heard, did you know Charlie Pride was traded to the Birmingham Black Barons, the same team that had Willie Mays, for the team bus? The only player in the history of baseball that's ever been traded for the team bus.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I don't know what that speaks to about his baseball talent, but that's the reality of Charlie Pride. He did get a cup of water with the Mets in Clearwater in their spring training. Never stuck. Bounced around a little bit in some independent minor leagues. But, you know, when he was playing for the Red Sox, Reuben Jones was his manager. And Reuben Jones said, you know, Charlie, you know what, I think because he played his guitar every day when they were, you know, going around the horn, playing other teams in the Negro Leagues. You probably make more money humming, bro. And so Reuben Jones suggested he chased that dream and put the ball down, and it proved to be good advice because he's in the Country Music Hall of Fame, right, Wes? So, man, I thank you, man. Charlie Pride, great example of the Memphis Red Sox that a few people know, but more need to get to know.
100%. Jason, you got anything for Keith Wood?
Yeah, first off, Coach, it's a pleasure talking with you. And where can we buy this book?
Oh, sure. I think first you can get the book at Novel, all right, in East Memphis. You can get it at Oxbow, right off of Pablo used to be Dixie Pickers. The Withers Museum down on Beale Street. Really excited that the Withers Museum has that because Beale Street is less than 2 miles away from BTW, and Martin Stadium, where the Red Sox played, was on Crump and Danny Thomas now. would have been Iowa and Wellington back in the day. But you can pick the book up there, and or you can go to my website, www.keithbwoodauthor.com, and I can get you a copy that way. Mine's going to be autographed, and I can get that out to your listeners out there, your subscribers. And man, I tell you what, I spent the first part of June up in Cooperstown and at a Negro Leagues conference, and folks are excited because for years we've all known about the Kansas City Monarchs, the Homestead Grays, Willie Mays, all those guys. So now we're adding the Memphis Red Sox to that narrative, and we're bringing the 901 back to where it belongs.
So what went into inspiring this book from the first day that you decided, hey, you know what, we're going to do this? What in the back of your mind inspired it, but also what were you trying to convey through the entire book as well?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. When I was doing my doctoral studies over at the University of Memphis, there was a dissertation by Montgomery McBee, and then there was a video that had come out in the mid-'90s when a lot of these Negro Leaguers were in the winter stages of their lives, and they were sharing their stories, and it was by Professor Stephen Ross. It's called Blue Cities, Black Diamonds, right? And so, man, it had all of these incredible interviews, and, you know, Buck O'Neil, the great Buck O'Neil, who just went into the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, used to say, don't be sorry for good old Buck. I was right on time. And when you listen to these guys' stories, man, Verdell Mathis, Casey Jones, Joe B. Scott, these guys didn't sound like they missed out on anything. They sounded like they had the time of their lives. And they did it at a time when Memphis, let's be honest, was Jim Crow segregated. But man, they got to travel the country. They got to play the game they loved. And with recent adjustments by the Major League Baseball, by the commissioner, they played Major League Baseball. And, you know, the guys that we had in Memphis, Turkey Starnes played here, Willie Foster, Buck O'Neil, right? These guys all played for the Red Sox, Don the Flannels. These guys are in the Hall of Fame. Josh Gibson played here. Cool Papa Bell, Satchel Paige pitched here. You know, you name the best players in Negro League Baseball, they came here. So while I'm looking at these stories, I'm like, my kids have not a clue. And, you know, I taught at Sheffield, right? I taught in the inner city over in Parkway Village, coached over there for a few years before heading out to Millington. And whether I coached at Sheffield, Millington, or teaching now at Christian Brothers, like many of your listeners out there, like, who are the Memphis Red Sox? Right? And we know who the Boston Red Sox are, but we've never heard of the Memphis Red Sox. And so for me, I wanted to share a piece of Memphis history that would get folks excited about the fact that we're Major League. Because if you think about it, what's one of the biggest chips that Memphians always carry on our shoulders throughout the history, our sports history? We're minor league, right? We had the pros, the TAMs, right? The Sounds. They didn't last. We had in football, you had the World Football League with the Grizzlies or the Southmen, the USFL showboats in the 80s, the XFL. I mean, you've had the Canadian Football League, all these things until the NBA comes to Memphis. We always see ourselves as minor league. We don't have to. The Memphis Red Sox prove that in the 1930s and 40s and 50s, we were Major League. And this is the story I think I want to get out there.
Do you think that it would be imperative for the Major League Baseball to come back to Memphis and reinvest into a little bit of the history of the Memphis Redbirds to help promote that also, not only for the city, but for the players that came through the organization and played for the team as well?
Right. So most of the players have passed on. You know, they were playing in the 40s and their 50s and their early 20s. So we're talking 60, 70 years past their prime. Now it's their children, and their children are doing a great job of communicating to Major League Baseball. Here in Memphis, I'll be down at AutoZone Park next week, and we're trying to convince the Redbirds to do two things in Memphis. One, we'd like them to hang the 1938 Negro American League Championship banner. The Red Sox defeated the Atlanta Black Crackers in the NAL Championship Series and won that. And so we would like them to hang the banner up with the other PCL banners that are at AutoZone Park. Secondly, we'd like them to open a room at the stadium that becomes a mini Negro Leagues museum, a history of what baseball was like in Martin Stadium with the Red Sox. So the Withers Museum is on board. They plan on providing pictures for the Red Sox so that fans, when they come into this room, will get an image. And one of the things that I'm doing is working with some of the families that I interviewed for the book to connect them to see if they have any memorabilia that we can provide the Redbirds to open that museum and give it a little more credibility.
What are on those hats in the background you've got there?
Oh, man. So first, I'm a lit guy. Number one, it covers up. When John remembers me coaching, I had a lot more hair. But when you coach as much high school basketball as I did, your hair moves fast, right? My hairline is moving much faster backwards than my 40 time. So
I feel you, brother. I feel you.
All right. So this is the lid that the Redbirds will wear on August 12th for Red Sox Day.
Nice.
And so I picked this up recently at Lids. Have your subscribers go out and get a lid. A lot of my friends are like, Coach, I thought your wife went to Mississippi State. That looks like an Ole Miss hat. And I need to clarify for all my Bulldog fans out there that this is definitely a Memphis Red Sox hat. They got the minor league insignia on the back. In the background, you got two other Red Sox hats. One came from the Negro Museum on the left, and the other one has the Memphis Red Sox insignia. Got a couple of jerseys that we've got there. I mean, what I'm trying to do is just get awareness out there. Let people know that we had a squad and they could play some ball. And let's start taking a look at who Olin Jelly Taylor. Olin Jelly Taylor played first base. All right. So, Josh, why do you think they call him Jelly?
No clue.
All right. Hey,
He was.
you guys watch the Harlem Globetrotters, right?
Yeah.
So when he was at first, he's giving you a little backhand. He's going between the legs when he's getting the ball at first base. He's going around his back, behind his head, all the things you see the Savannah Bananas doing.
Yeah.
Ollie John Taylor did that during Major League games, right? These guys
so cool.
are skilled, right? There's a catcher. His name's Larry Brown. Larry Brown was so talented, he started playing professionally, not Little League, professionally at 14 for the Knoxville Giants, right? He's been on 3 Hall of Fame ballots. He's come close to getting nominated or elected into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In those winters, they'd go to Cuba. And while he was down in Cuba, he threw out Ty Cobb 5 consecutive times. How many catchers in organized baseball, white baseball, could throw out Ty Cobb once, much less not once, 5 consecutive times? You see, Larry Brown was so good. The Georgia Peach, right? Everybody says, oh, well, he's from Georgia. He's not going to like black guys. It's a bunch of rubbish, right? Ty Cobb went to Detroit, telegraphed Detroit from Cuba, and said, look, this guy can play. We need to sign him. He speaks fluent Spanish because he's been down here in Cuba for a couple of winters. Let's pass him off as Hispanic and bring him to the Tigers. Now you tell me how good he is.
Golly. And that was
Right.
that's
Nobody knows
huge
these
for
stories.
Ty. Yeah, it's huge for Ty Cobb to say that too, because I mean he was one of the least revered players in Major League Baseball for a long time.
Yeah, he's
Just-
cleats. Now, if you're playing second base, you better have shin guards. And in fact, the Negro Leagues actually were the first place shin guards were used because Negro League players had been doing that for years. And so what Negro League players would do is they would take a piece of wood and put it over their shin. So when
Gotcha.
guys came in hard to second, they had the original shin guard, right? That developed in the 1920s, I think with Rube Foster's Chicago American Giants, right? And so there's some great stories that we can tell, right? Everybody knows Satch Paige, right? Satchel Paige was a great pitcher, but we got a kid at a BTW, Booker T. Washington High School, right next door to Martin Stadium. Now this kid, call him lefty, left-handed pitcher, 88 on the bump with a +2 curve. He was dealing. He beat Satchel Paige twice. Not only did he beat Satchel Paige twice, one of those games was at Wrigley Field, the Wrigley Field on Satchel Paige Day. They gave him a car. They gave him all sorts of stuff for Satchel Paige. They gave Verdell Mathis, that's the cat's name. Verdell Mathis got a gym bag,
Golly.
and he beat Satchel Paige 4-2. Owned him. How many guys you know own Satchel Paige?
There was not very many, I can tell you that for sure.
Right? So we're talking Memphis has got players, right? We got a history, we got a story, we got a championship, right? And, you know, as we start talking more about this and we get this story out there, it's not going to just be the Kansas City Monarchs or the Homestead Grays. Not going to be let's talk Memphis Red Sox. And so that's my excitement. It's been what I've been doing pretty much all summer with my summer break, is just sharing this great story of Memphis's own Major League Baseball team.
And on your website, Coach, is there a place where we can go and watch any of these videos also?
Right. If you go to the homepage, if you scroll all the way down to the homepage, whether your subscribers are on their laptops or their cell phones, scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. There's actually a clip of the Atlanta Black Crackers and the Memphis Red Sox. Right. So not a lot of black and white footage available, right? Because we're talking the 40s and 50s. And the money, let's be honest, was over with the Major League Baseball. So there is some footage, but not as much as we'd like.
Cool. Coach, I appreciate it. Thank you for all that information. Everybody go out there, check out his website too. At what was the website again, Coach?
Yeah, www.keithbwoodauthor.com.
All right, everybody go check out that. Go take a look at the book. Also, like I said, scroll down to the bottom of the page. Go take a look at some of the video too at the bottom. Not only invest your time into history, but invest your time into Memphis history that's still relevant today.
Right. I think one of the things we're trying to do,
100%.
one of the family members of the Red Sox, it's Larry Brown's daughter-in-law. Larry Brown's son was actually a member of the Tuskegee Airmen. So not only was Larry Brown a Hall of Fame caliber catcher, his son defended our country in World War II as a member of the Tuskegee Airmen and in the Korean War, right? So their family would like to donate books to city schools, primarily where the Red Sox played, right? BTW, Hamilton, Melrose, Manassas, where one of the owners ran Collins Chapel Hospital, which was the all-black hospital in Memphis. So they're trying to get this story back to the kids. All right, I just spent some time yesterday out in Millington with Michael Perry, the principal out there. We're talking about bringing the book out to Millington. If you have a connection in a Memphis school and you would either like to help donate 30 copies of Classroom Set of that, we can get you the author's discount there and get that book into the hands of kids, because a lot of our kids, and let's be real, in Memphis, I taught at Sheffield. The kids I taught at Sheffield in 7th and 8th grade were telling me they're going to the NBA. Let me ask you guys a question. Where do you have a better chance to play professionally? Baseball, football, or basketball? Where do the numbers play out, guys?
I would say probably baseball.
Absolutely. So
Keith
why
Wood,
aren't our young athletes, and just think about it. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Like when I was in 7th and 8th grade, every one of my kids, coach, I'm balling, I'm hooping, I got game, I'm going to the league. You guys watched the NBA draft, right? 6 of the top 10 choices were from where?
France.
But we're telling our young kids in the neighborhood that you need to pick up that ball and bounce it. Now, what you need to do is pick up a bat and glove and give yourself a much better chance.
You've got
and in the
independent
1940s,
Yeah.
the youth in our neighborhoods could go to Martin Stadium and see, for the black kids, they could see major league players that look just like them.
Yeah.
So by telling this story to the kids in the neighborhood, we can share with them guys that look like them were legit and they played baseball.
Yep.
And that's another piece I think that we can do for the next generation.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, you've got independent, you've got low A, you've got high A, you've got single, you've got double and triple A. I mean, there is not any other sport in North America that supports that type of a farm system to be able to bring in so many players and then help try to develop them through the different stages of Major League Baseball. And so, yeah, I think that you're going to, honestly, I know that football is it. Don't get me wrong. NFL is probably
absolutely.
the most, the most popular in North America.
Definitely.
But you're starting, I feel like you're starting to see a little bit of a trend where, you're starting to see more athletes gravitate away from the NBA because there's such a limited amount of space.
Right.
They're gravitating towards football. I know that the CTE stuff has really kind of affected some folks. And I think that over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to start to see more kids gravitate towards baseball. Also, you have NIL that's being put back in that's in the fold with baseball. I know that the SEC commissioner, Greg Sankey, just announced this week that the SEC is going to they're going to expand their rosters to the mid 30s, between 32 and 35 players. And they're also adding 20 more scholarships now. So now you're not having 11.6, you've got 31.6. So basically almost all of your players now are going to be on scholarship, not quarter scholarships. I think with the reinvestment with that, and also with Major League Baseball, I think that you're going to start to see more kids gravitate more towards baseball and, create a better product.
All right, so who was the Memphian that got drafted this year? What Memphian got drafted by the Minnesota Twins?
I'm going to let you do that one.
Culpepper.
There you go, Sturdivant. What do you got, brother?
Kalen Culpepper.
Right. You got a young black kid that can be the face of baseball in the city. All right, this kid, right? And so I think sometimes stereotypically we're like, well, all right, everybody plays football, right? And in this city historically, all right, the brothers are playing basketball, the white guys are playing baseball. Culpepper's breaking that stereotype down. His brother can play. And look, he didn't come out of a baseball powerhouse.
Yeah.
He came out of SBA, right? SBA has some good players, and they do well, but they struggle competing with Christian Brother, MUS, Briarcrest. But Kalen Culpepper, real deal, has the talent, put Memphis back on the map, played for Kansas State. He's going to be, I think he can be the face for the next generation of kids that are thinking like what we're talking about. Am I really going to get a chance to get drafted in the NBA? And CTE, do I really want to get knocked around in my head?
Yeah.
For 15 and my career, a professional baseball player's career is much longer than either a football player who really only has the NFL or an NBA, all right, which has less opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. So baseball could very well be the move for the next generation of athletes.
Yeah. I'm echoing every sentiment that you just said there, Coach. I really am. And it's been a great. And
Man, if I could have had that in the locker room 20 years ago, that'd have been dangerous, John.
I know, right?
I'm looking at Facebook the other day. These guys are recalling when I had them running suicides after taking an L somewhere. Don't worry, John, it wasn't Bartlett. So,
hey, shots fired. Okay.
So, this is, I think this is a great conversation. And I really do invite your subscribers to head down to AutoZone Park on August 12th. And I'll be there. I'm going to be signing books. If they need to pick up a copy there, they can. So I think this is just a great opportunity. And I love the fact that the Redbirds, who, St. Louis has got the St. Louis Stars in the Negro Leagues. But for them to reach out here in Memphis and connect with our very own Memphis Red Sox.
That's huge.
That's huge. The guys wearing the uniforms, the kids can go out there and get a uniform and walk around like the guys did in the heyday of the Negro Leagues in the 1940s and 50s.
I also want to say this,
And the
fans.
coach-
I also want to say this real quick, Wes. He's also a two-time bookmarker. So if anybody wants to read the Memphis Hoopers out there, go out and purchase that book as well, because it gives a little bit more depth regarding the Memphis State days, even as a whole, as the Memphis background in general. And Coach Wood does a great job not only publicizing the high school and college background in general in that book, but he also talks, like he talked about the Red Sox just a few minutes ago. He does a great job. I think he's got a new background, whenever he retires from teaching, I can't wait to see his college football book coming out.
Well, I've got one now. I'll hold you guys out there. I'm just about to sign a contract with my publisher, and the next book is on the USFL showboats from 1984 and 85. So
Beautiful.
football is America's pastime.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll jump in. Probably see that book in another year or two. Publishing a book is glacial. It takes time. But John, thanks for the shout out on the Larry Finch book. Right. So
Yeah.
from my Memphis State fans out there, Memphis Hoops uses Larry Finch's playing career, his senior year at Melrose, all the way through when his last year as a head coach at Memphis State in '97, and it really talks about what Memphis basketball means to Memphis, right? And his role, what was going on politically at the time. And so, man, I tell you what, for that book, I can't go anywhere in Memphis and meet someone that read that book that doesn't stop me and say, Coach, I was at the Kiel Center. I was at the Mid-South Coliseum, right? I remember, all of those things, right? Everybody in Memphis has a connection through basketball and Larry Finch, right? I mean, look at Penny Hardaway.
Mhm.
Why is Penny doing what Penny does? Does Penny need our money?
No.
Does Penny need our
Nope.
acclaim? The accolades? Does
No.
Penny need the boo birds that come out all the time saying that he's a terrible X and O's guys and all he can do is recruit?
I don't
Right?
think he
These
gives a
idiots
damn about that.
Have never picked up a clipboard and don't understand. He needs none of that. Question: when Memphis won the NIT, a national championship, who's the first person he gave a ring to? Vicky Finch, Coach Finch's widow. Because what Coach Finch did for Penny allowed him to be the player and the man that he is today. And so another great opportunity for these young kids to jump in and learn a little bit more about our past.
Man, wow. Coach Wood, we're going to get you back on
Love to be on.
because you're too daggum good at just you got me ready. I mean, I'm ready to run through a wall for Memphis Tiger basketball, for Negro
Well,
Leagues,
I could use some guys
hell,
that could run
Christian
through a
brothers.
wall.
I mean,
for me.
whatever.
Let's do it.
I'll be 39 next week. I don't know that I can still do it, but
How's your lateral movement?
no, Coach, we
How's your
thank you for
lateral
your
movement
time. Terrible.
He has pretty good lateral. He has okay lateral movement. It's
Okay.
the dome up top though that he can go through a brick wall with.
Oh, there
Okay.
we go. That you know what? You have to
Yeah.
keep at least one guy on the squad that's willing to go through a brick wall, because the pretty boys that got the arm sleeves, the leg sleeves, the wristband, the elbow, all that, they got to look good. You need one dude that can go through the wall. And it sounds like Wes is my man.
Yeah, I mean, you can reach out to Joe Riccone at Cardwell High School, and he can tell you all about me from my Rossville Christian Academy days.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
Man.
5'4", played center, But Coach, we appreciate you coming on with us today. Man, your insight has been refreshing. Just to be honest with you, it's a
Appreciate
great
that.
story, and we are going to continue. We are going to continue to promote it too. Any extra information that you have, reach out to John. John will get it over to me, and we'll get it up on our website and all of our social medias, and we'll tag, do whatever we got to do to get as much eyes and ears on this calls.
Love it. Just, you know what? Just look forward to seeing your subscribers out at AutoZone Park on August 12th. And let's celebrate the Red Sox Day together.
And Coach Wood, I got one more thing. I hope
Let's
your
do
Yankees
it.
choke the rest of the way.
Oh, now you know what, John?
Whoa, easy.
You know, I fired one
Whoa.
shot at the old Panther.
Wow,
over
really
there.
poke the bear, right?
Yeah,
Well,
dude.
you know,
Jesus.
here's the great story with the Red Sox. One of my students, Jackson Lyons at Christian Brothers, his dad, Jonathan, played for the Red Sox. And obviously, I'm a kid from upstate New York.
Wow.
I've actually got the Yankees tattooed on my back. And so I have to clarify with my friends back home that this is the Memphis Red Sox, not the Boston Red Sox, right? That's not how I roll.
That's funny.
But when the Red Sox were last in the World Series, I had Jonathan's son, Jackson, in class. And the bet was if the Red Sox won the series, I had to teach class in an authentic Red Sox jersey with an
Ooh.
authentic Red Sox hat. But what a tough day.
I was
Man,
going to
you know,
say
because they what would they beat? They beat Cincinnati or St. Louis.
they beat St.
and-
Louis in
yeah.
5
Yeah.
games.
And
4
so
games.
here I am. And man, you know, Jackson's putting pictures all over social media with me wearing Boston Red Sox stuff. I went home and cried. It was tears of remorse. I couldn't believe I did that, but I'm a man of my word.
I
If
bet you never
said-
made another bet like that again either,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah.
You're right. I haven't made one bet like that. So let's look Judge and Soto in 24, baby.
Ain't happening.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole's
Oh, here
making
we
a comeback.
go. Gosh,
We got him
John
on the
started.
bump.
Leave him
We're
alone. But Coach Wood, man, we appreciate you coming on with us today. Man, you've carved out roughly 20, 30 minutes of your time, and we are truly, truly appreciative. And I'm now a Memphis Red Sox fan.
There
Just
you
to
go.
be brutally
Love
honest
it.
with you, and I'm really excited to sit down and really delve into your book and the history of this team.
All right. Hey, look forward to it, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. You guys have a good day.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Wes,
it, Coach. All right.
where do you find
guys,
these guests, man?
Man, so yes,
Man, where do you find these
Dude,
guests, dude?
that
You're
was all. That was
delivering.
all him up there, bro. That wasn't me. That was John.
John?
That was John.
Dude.
John's
kudos.
got the connection to Coach Wood.
Hey, I've known him
Yeah.
for, like he brought
Yeah,
up,
no
since
doubt,
the
man.
Middleton days in early 2000s, my friend. So basically, what is it, 24 now? So a good 20 years of friendship by
Yeah.
coaching.
Well, you're not that bad
Yeah,
of a
man.
dude then
Yeah,
if you got
Keith
friends
Wood's
like
good stuff.
that.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
All right. So
Hey,
let's
hang on,
go
hang
to
on, hang on,
the
hang on, hang on.
By God,
funny.
it's Friday and I'm bringing
All right.
it. Okay,
I
y'all.
also got to deal with this
Yeah.
guy, Wes Pruitt. No, I'm kidding.
You
I
ain't
ain't
gotta tell
gonna
me.
say
All right,
nothing
man.
about that.
So we asked this question. Just we got about 8 minutes left in the show.
Yeah.
So we started with this question, and it's going to be the dessert topic of the day.
Okay.
Does it impress people to quote win media days? John, I'll start with you.
Heck no, start with Jason. He just came on.
AKA,
Okay.
he wants to hear what I have to say and then catapult off that. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, media days is a bunch of coaches. There's more or less a bunch of coach speak. You have probably one or two folks that come in there and try to wow a little bit. Usually it's the first year guys, which we didn't see a lot from the first year guys this year. And I think those guys have also been in the league a little bit too. So I feel like they kind of had a better grasp on what they needed to do this week. Is it imperative to wow? No. I think the reason why is because it's more about access than glam at this point, just because everybody wants to get those snippets that they can use throughout the rest of this year. That's honestly, I feel like personally, that's what media days is more about than hearing about, oh, well, we've got this and we got these people and we got those people. One of the biggest takeaways that I did get was from Lane Kiffin when he was asked about the recruitment of Chris Paul from Arkansas. He said it wasn't really more recruitment. It was more about like NFL free agency, which that leads me to believe that was there tampering? Was there, third party? Hey, we all know it goes on. I mean, let's just be honest with each other there. But now with the collective bargaining agreement and revenue sharing, or not CBA, but with the revenue sharing, it's going to lead into a CBA with the players, which means that you're going to have player representation on each individual campus now. I think that's the next thing on the forefront. When you have that, then that's whenever I think you're going to start to see the 60 or 70 Super League teams. But I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'm promise you I'm making a circle on this. NCAA players need representation on each campus. And what Lane Kiffin said on Monday or Tuesday, I think it was, that's credence of why you need representation. Because I mean, there's been stuff floated out there. Let's face it. For KJ, for Rocket, Chris Paul, you name it. There's been people reaching out there for Arkansas players too. So if you have player representation on campus, I think that would kind of shut down some of the tampering that's going on right now. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways that I took from media days, on top of the reverence for Monty Kiffin throughout the entire week.
Yeah, 100%. I spoke on that earlier too. Great point, Jason.
Oh my God, also, Jason, you read my mind too.
And also to your point, Jason, when you look at tampering, Jay Norvell at Colorado State has been making no bones about this for the past 2 seasons. All right, John, you're going to close the show, man. You got about 4 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, he just read my mind completely. Like everybody's reading my mind today, I guess.
That's scary.
And well, it's scary because you brought up teams from the beginning that read my mind also from last night. And I think this is one reason that you hire general managers now for colleges as well. And that's one reason I think a lot of more universities are hiring a general manager role in that college football role now. And that's one reason that Jason brought up everything I was going to bring up. But that's one reason I think you see more general managers in the college football level now and go a little bit and help out regarding stuff like this.
I want to implore everybody to look at the model the NFL uses, not only from a front office standpoint, but also from a player personnel standpoint. If you look at both of those models and how they are constructed, extrapolate to the college football game, that's what it's going to be in 5 years.
He's right. He's right. Man, guys, what a show. What a show. I tell you what, this Sports Buffet show is 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sometimes it's in the morning. Sometimes it may be at night. We'll let you know on times and all of that, but that's the whole point. Hey, you go to a buffet in the morning, you can get full in the morning, you can get full in the afternoon, you can get full at night. That's what the Sports Buffet is all about. But I appreciate, man, Jason Patterson jumped in here. John, I got to give you a shout out, bro. Keith Wood, just no pun intended, but he knocked that out of the park. Keith Wood was an incredible guest, and we appreciate him coming on and literally teaching us about Memphis Red Sox.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Wood, thank you again if you're still watching. Thank you again for coming on. And I got one rapid fire question to preview for Sunday for you, for our fans for Over and Under. Wes had Arkansas at what? How many wins do you have?
All right. Earlier? Look at you.
Oh.
I had Arkansas. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to it. I believe.
I think you had about 5. Right?
I have me personally. I have Arkansas, and people may laugh at me, and I don't care. But I have Arkansas winning 7 games this season, going 7-5.
That's not out of the realm of possibility. I'll be honest with you. It's not.
I love that pick. I love that number 7. I love that number 7 because I love the quarterback they got from Boise. Boise did not use him enough, in my opinion, later on in the season for him to, because, hey, we saw him in that Boise State-Memphis game last year, Wes. He did pretty well for him. But, yeah.
Yep.
I can't wait to see Sunday's show, Over and Under. If anybody wants to buy some tickets, go ahead and $50 or more. You save $20 on the 4-Star Sports Media. And I think, now is the time to buy college football tickets. And breaking news, Wes, I'll see you in October, my friend, for the Tennessee Vols Arkansas football game.
Oh, man. Oh, John Sturdivant's coming to Fayetteville.
Hey.
Holy crap.
So I'm going to – Wes, are you okay if I do a small little plug real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay. John, when you come for the Tennessee game, by the way, that is on my birthday. Okay, it's October 5th.
Party at Jason's house.
No. There's going to be a party at Torchy's Tacos in Fayetteville because I have a live show before every home game in Fayetteville this year with Hogville.net and with Torchy's Tacos sponsoring us.
Yep.
I'll have Marshall Foreman, former Razorback fullback and Arena League football player and coach. That's going to be my co-host. So Torchy's is going to be opening up at 8 a.m. before every home game now for the rest of the for the entire season for the Fayetteville games. So if you guys want to come over, grab some breakfast tacos, Jonathan, you got to come over, because if you don't, I'm going to drag your butt over there anyway, and I'll force some tacos down your throat. And come over there, hang out with us.
Oh, he eats, bro. You ain't got to force a taco down his throat. He's an eater. You ain't got to do that. That boy eats.
Hey, they do got good breakfast tacos, like you just brought up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
like
so
Torchy's in general is growing on me. To be honest with you, I could go there once a week if I wanted to. But
Dude,
just get.
I got 2 shows. I got one that's a weekly show, and then the football shows. So head over to Torchy's on October 5th, Jonathan. We'll get you hooked up, okay, buddy?
All right, and happy birthday, early birthday. Same thing to you, Wes.
Yeah, my birthday. I'll be on air. I'll be on air next week. So, yeah, no, man, big time. So we got just to give y'all a quick update on scheduling for us at 4-Star as we close the show. Sunday, John's already talked about it. Over and under debut episode of that show. Real easy, folks. You either say over or you say under. It's not that hard of a concept. So over under is just a quick little easy way to pick some games, pick some numbers, things of that nature. Next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you'll be sitting down at the sports buffet. And then on Thursday night, it's happy hour, because the Hogs happy hour with Blake and Ashton is back as well. So that means and also Wednesday night, we will have the Tigers Den as well on 4-Star Sports Media Network that night. And we got Arkansas Hockey Club, the Ice Hogs podcast. Sorry, the Ice Hogs podcast will be back in 2 weeks as we talk some expansion for the team, a new schedule that I have seen that has come out that is quite impressive, and much more with Keller Sims and the guys over at the Arkansas Hockey Club. So if you can do simple math, folks, that'd be a show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. You're looking at 6 shows. We're pushing it 7 days a week, baby. We're pushing it 7 days a week. Yes, sir. So 4-Star Sports Media is, as the sign in Fayette County used to say, we are on the grow.
All right, you know what? Breaking news here at 4-Star Sports, real quick. Breaking news.
Come on.
There will be a Saturday. There will be a Saturday show coming up in the next couple of weeks.
I was going to say,
John's got his show.
I'm not going to say anything yet, but I'm in the process of working on that right now as we speak. I'm just trying to line up a few guests here and there. But yeah, breaking news. There will be a show on Saturday mornings or Saturday evenings. It really all depends on some scheduling, perhaps, down the road.
It'll be on Saturday. That's all.
Wes, you're going to have to stunt this growing a little bit, because I can only count to 20 on my fingers and toes before you get any more stinking shows. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to, Jonathan, I'm going to W the Chris Felica of 4-Star Sports. You're the bear.
I love it, man. I love it. I hadn't even thought about that, dude. I love it.
Extrapolate that.
We still need to have the 3-ball man show.
But man, look, we're thanking everybody watching and listening over at the 4-Star Sports Media socials, and head over to the 4-Star website. We've got some brand new content over there, and this show will be uploaded as soon as possible. Appreciate everybody watching and listening. For Jason Patterson and John Sturdivant, I am Wes Pruitt, and as always, folks, just stay classy.